It's a good way to start that, huh?
Close enough.
Yeah. When I was 15, I wanted to get my first job. And my parents didn't have a whole lot of money, and I knew that driving age was right around the corner, and I knew that in order for me to be able to afford a car, be able to go places and do things, I needed to have a job. That's how we were wired. I come from a real working family, and I wanted to get a job. And so I took applications, and I completed applications around town and submitted them to a variety of different restaurants and shops and places. And no one wanted to interview a scrawny 15-year-old because I assume that there are plenty of workers, but also because there's limitations on what 15-year-olds can work and what they can do until you turn 16. The exception to that was Chick-fil-A. I applied at Chick-fil-A, and I landed an interview. And I was so excited about getting this interview. I was excited because I had prayed, and I had legitimately asked the Lord, please, Lord, give me a chance to interview for a job. If you provide a job for me, I'll promise I'll work hard at it. I'll be a good steward of the funds that you give me, all of these things. I'll even tithe if you get me a job. And so... And so I landed an interview at Chick-fil-A. So I prepared that week for this interview. I was in prayer about it. I was thinking about what, I was thinking of questions that could be asked and what I would say to answer those questions. And I even laid out my clothes, I remember, for the interview. And I was going to wear my Sunday best. Now, I don't mean Sunday best like we wear Sunday best. I mean like the Southern Baptist Sunday best. Tie, slacks, shoes, and all of that. And so I got dressed that Saturday to go up to the interview, and of course I was early. I was there. My parents drove me up there, and they took a walk around the mall, and I was waiting on the interview. And so I sat there and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And after an hour and a half, the lady comes around the corner and she says, the owner's out playing golf right now. He'd like you to come back next Saturday. Oh, okay. I can do that. So I find my parents around the mall and tell them, hey, how'd the interview go? The owner's playing golf today, and so, I'm not gonna have the interview today. He needs me to come back next Saturday. Oh, okay. So go through another week of school and just super excited about the interview, nervous, praying, getting everything ready, laid out the same outfit because he hadn't seen me in that yet, right? And so, I could wear that again. Put it back on, and Saturday go into the interview, and I sat there in the food court waiting on him to come out, just getting everything ready. I know my armpits were sweating, and I just sat there and waited and waited. And after about an hour, the gal came around the corner and said, oh, the owner's not in today. Can you come back next Saturday? Sure, I'd be glad to do that. Most people wouldn't have come back the second time. So I waited that third week, and I went back in, and just an escalated sense of nervousness and anticipation for this interview. And so I get there, and I get into the food court early, and I waited, and after about 30 minutes, the owner comes around the corner with my application, and I sit up in my chair. He's here, and he comes and sits down, and he looks at me, and he says, you're Kevin? And I said, yes, sir. He said, why'd you come back? And I said, because I really want this job, sir. I do a good job. He said, I can tell you're hired. And he hired me. And so I was excited. I got my first job. People don't, usually get jobs at 15. Or at that time, the economy was such where there were just workers everywhere, and he gave me a chance, and I was so grateful to the Lord. And all week, I just was blessing the Lord, thanking the Lord. So I go to work on that first Saturday, and they put me on the fry machine. I'm the one doing fries over at Chick-fil-A in the mall. Who likes waffle fries? Anybody hungry today? Okay. Well, I did not get you waffle fries today. So... But anyway, I was working the fry machine, and we had a busy lunch, and I'm learning, and we're in the busyness, and just as it would be, and even in Chick-fil-A, you go in, you don't know the people that you're working with quite yet, and I'm the new kid, and I'm just this scrawny little 15-year-old who is wearing a nice, shiny new uniform. Everyone else's is not shiny and new, but mine's shiny and new, and I'm there, and I'm just trying, of course, I'm slow at doing the fries, and they're like, come on, speed it up, new kids, all this stuff, and we get to a point about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and business was really slow. And Chick-fil-A, man, and the mall, man, they packed out the employees. I mean, it was like 15, 20 employees in that small little area. And I was sitting there, and everybody was just kind of hanging out, just talking and, just waiting, I guess, on customers and things like that, riding the clock. And I was sitting there, and I just kept thinking, and I wasn't really talking to many people because I didn't know anybody. And I thought, I really feel bad like just standing here because I'm being paid. So I went around the corner and I found a broom. And I grabbed the broom and I went to the other end of the store, and everybody's just talking and stuff, and I just started sweeping around my areas, my very first day of work. And I start to sweep down in the other area, and I'm reaching, trying to get fries behind the fry machine. And the manager, her name was Sarah, she came out and she looked down across the way and she said, "Everybody stop what you're doing right now and look at Kevin." If you all would grab a broom and do something like he's doing, maybe you would find yourself in better positions in the future. I was such the popular new employee. I mean, everybody just loved me. And 4 years later, I would find myself sweeping the floor of a Chick-fil-A in Murfreesboro as the youngest general manager the chain has ever hired. And I say that with all humility. In that moment of sweeping the floor by the fly machine, I didn't know that general manager was on the horizon. I didn't know my future. I didn't know anything. I just wanted to be faithful to serve where I was. I just wanted to do a good job. I wanted to do the right thing where I was planted at that moment. And when you do what is right and you're faithful in that moment, God will do supernatural, crazy, extraordinary things in your life.